obviously, and I think that pretty much what I can do right away is just claim winning by TKO since I'm an attorney. But I'm not going to talk for very long, just a couple minutes of an intro to the campaign, and then we'll just be taking questions from the crowd. The group had sent me some questions from earlier too, which I did prepare responses to, so feel free to ask those as well. So during the past 6 years, the current congressman has been in office, and he's made over $1 million in congressional salary. And what you need to ask yourself is, what has the taxpayer gotten in return from all this? And during the past 6 years that Mr. Dent had been in office, the national debt has increased from $7.5 trillion to $13.5 trillion, so roughly double. Meanwhile, Mr. Callahan's city, Bethlehem, is majorly in debt, has about $8.5 million in debt just on a cash basis from last year. During the past 6 years, the number of service members that have been killed in Afghanistan has risen from 160 to nearly 1,300. There is now more troops dead in Afghanistan during the Obama administration that ever died during the Bush administration, which is a fact that some people are unaware of. During the past 6 years, unemployment locally has doubled from 5% to 10%. The number of people living on food stamps nationally has risen from 25 million to 41 million people, which is about 1 in 8 Americans is now on food stamps. And my thing is we must stop the endless debt, and we must stop the endless wars that we have plaguing our nation. And I've pledged to balance the budget each year, and I've called upon at the first debate Mr. Callahan and Mr. Dent to do the same. They did not reply, and from their responses, they are not in favor of a balanced budget, which means they're just going to continue the game as usual. I am against taxpayer bailouts of corporations like the TARP banker bailout. Mr. Dent, of course, voted to bail out the bankers, and Mr. Callahan has stated that he would have voted for the bill. And what's interesting to realize about that is he constantly goes after Mr. Dent at the first debate for bailing out all these bankers, and yet he would have approved the same bill. So I've been very clear. I don't think the purpose of the American taxpayer is to bail out Goldman Sachs or any of these large investment firms that are on Wall Street. And we must stop the endless wars, and we must stop using our soldiers' blood for these nation-building missions that we have abroad. And to create jobs, we must stop the government's harmful interventions that discourage employment. Now, the salary, what one of the volunteers was kind enough to hand out was my resume. The salary of the position that I am applying for is $174,000 a year, which should all be aware of, and that's before benefits. So the question is, how can the voter believe that any candidate, whether they're Republican, Democrat, or independent like myself, will represent them by slashing wasteful federal spending if they fail to start with themselves, even just a little bit. And what I've said is I will only accept the district's median income of $58,000. The remainder, $116,000, I'll be donating to local nonprofit hospitals, so they'll be going to health care to those that need it the most. I will not enlist in the federal health care plan. I will not enlist in the congressional pension plan. These congressmen, when they get out of office, they are allowed to have a pension plan that gives them up to 80% of their salary for the rest of their lives. And again, at the first debate, I challenged both Mr. Callahan and Mr. Dent, and they had no reply. So they obviously are not planning to do that, which, from my perspective, makes me very skeptical that they'll actually do anything other than the usual. So, and lastly, I offer an accountable and transparent form of government when I'm elected, what I call the open office. And the way that the open office will work, it's a novel idea. It doesn't actually exist, but at the end of the day, it's pretty similar. And it's actually in line with some of the things that the current President Obama talked about when he took office. And the way it'll work is anytime on any House floor bill you want to have your opinion be known, whether you call into the office or write into the office, everything will be recorded online, and it'll be open and transparent to the public. I'll read through that before I vote. And after I vote, I'll tell you not just how I voted, but why I voted every single time. So you'll always be aware of, and I'll always be held accountable to the people through that. There's a few other aspects of the open office. Currently, each congressman's office has a salary of about $1.2 to $1.4 million. Currently, if you want to find out how they're spending your taxpayer money for their offices, you have to go to a special library and look it up. Everything will be transparent and will be listed online, so you'll have that. I'll also offer something called on-demand town halls. So if there's a particular topic that residents in the area are interested about, and I'm not addressing it while I'm working, they have the right, because again, I am their public servant, they have the right to summon me to meet with them, and even if I'm just there listening to them. And as a representative of the people, that's really my job. And the last part of the open office is a way, if you want to submit a bill online, you have a constitutional right to do so. And that's one of the things I carry around with me wherever I go is the Constitution. And you can submit a new bill if you like and cite its constitutionality. If you want to revoke a current bill that's out there because it's either an unfair bill or unconstitutional bill, or you just think it's causing more harm than good, you're allowed to do it. And again, the whole thing is once you submit that in, it will go public. So, I'll be forced to reply to, the people that I'm serving. And I think that's what we're really kind of missing these days is, in Washington, D.C., whether it's Republican or Democrat, they don't really see things from the perspective of the American people. They don't seem to be responding, and the open office is an idea to kind of fix that. Let's see. I guess I'll stop talking and start taking questions.